The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center, Hestia Med Spa, and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Thomas Polucki.
On your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our first guest this morning, who hasn't been here in a long time, is Tim Traurig, who is president and founder of Guardian Support Center.
Yes, ma'am.
It's good to have you back again.
It's good to be back. I enjoyed our time last time, and it's been a while, so I'm happy to be back again.
Good. And tell us, what is Guardian Support Center?
Guardians is a place for like-minded individuals with similar backgrounds and experiences to come together and do life together. And those are veterans, firefighters, law enforcement, any military, man or woman. And what we do is we just do life. We talk about some of those challenges that many of us have faced because of the things that we've done, whether it's in military and deployments or on the streets of our cities. That population is exposed to a lot of trauma, and that trauma has a huge impact on our first responders. And it comes out in a lot of destructive ways. Sometimes it's self-destructive. Sometimes it's just in our relationships. And when life throws us some slaps in the face as well, when you have all that stuff just boxed up, sometimes things can get really out of hand for us. And so we provide a place where they can come and be open and transparent about some of the things they're going through in their life, find camaraderie, connection, and support there. And we do events, we do retreats, and it's really a brotherhood and a sisterhood and a community. It's a strong family of support.
So they talk with each other.
Yes.
And share experiences.
And that's the challenge.
Which takes the stress away to a certain degree.
It does, and it's real challenging. That population, my population, we're tough nuts to crack. And they don't like being vulnerable with their emotions. Yeah. We grow up in a culture where we shove our emotions in a box to be really good at what we do. But if you keep living life like that outside of the department and in your families, there's a lot of things that happen: domestic violence, divorces, suicide, drug abuse, alcoholism. All of that affects our veterans and first responders.
Well, it's interesting. Many years ago, I was the founder of the SCV Community Hotline out here. And we had to go through many hours of training to help the listeners respond, how to respond, when to respond to people who called in for help. They wanted somebody to talk to, but didn't want to talk to a family member or a close friend, but just needed to vent, to talk about something. Yes. And unfortunately, it was disbanded because we couldn't pay for it, and we lost a sponsor. So the hotline was completely done away with. And it was unfortunate because, like you say, a lot of first responders, people who help other people in this community, sometimes put everything inside.
Yes.
And blame themselves in many occasions. Why didn't I do this, or why didn't I do that? I could have prevented that, but I didn't do it.
Yes. And
those people need to have someone to talk to.
They do.
And to open up and help release them of that inner stress that they're going through.
Yeah. These men and women face a lot of barriers. I know that a lot of our agencies, fire department, law enforcement, even with the VA, try to provide a place for these men and women to find support, but a lot of them are real hesitant to go through their own agencies. They don't want the stigma. They don't want it on their record. Even though they offer peer-to-peer support, which is what we are, peer-to-peer support, they don't know if that person that they're talking to is someday going to sit on their oral board and has a knowledge about their past and may judge them based upon that. And these might be just perceptions, but it's real, and it keeps them from looking, reaching out for help. So because Guardians is outside of that, and it is peer-to-peer support, they are a lot more comfortable where everything's confidential. The department, agencies don't know that they're getting the support and help they need. If I'm a law enforcement officer, in some cases, if I go and tell my supervisor that I'm struggling and I've got some issues, the first thing they're going to ask for is my badge and my gun. Mm-hmm. Who's going to give up their, that's who they are. It's what they're about. And so it keeps them from reaching out for help.
We expect somebody who's seen active combat to have some issues, to deal with some post-traumatic stress syndrome, anxiety, depression. It can be disabling, and unfortunately, way too commonly, it's too much to bear. And right now, we're losing more veterans to suicide than they are killed in action.
Yeah,
that's disturbing, because as you said, there's a stigma. There's a stigma to asking for help. We know that help helps. We know that certain therapies are very effective, but as you said, for various reasons, they're not asking for it. Yeah. And they don't even know that it's available in many cases. One of the good things about COVID is that so much now is telehealth. So many services are available discreetly online, over the phone, where, instead of having to show up at someone's office, you can make a phone call and maybe get the help that you so desperately need. What was surprising to me, I had no idea that firefighters deal with post-traumatic stress more than anybody else, more than veterans, more than police, more than anybody else. I can't imagine what it's like to have to literally walk into hell willingly and try and save lives.
Yeah. It's very challenging. For 35 years, I worked as a retired LA City firefighter for 35 years. I've worked in all areas of the city, and you see a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize what's going on in their neighborhoods every single day, unless it affects them personally. Mm-hmm. And so the amount of trauma that you see is horrific.
Yeah.
And we all have a carousel of slides that we can't unsee. And those carousel of slides can get tapped into from just things going on in your own family, or you happen to drive by that certain intersection,
right,
or a certain smell, or you drive by an accident on the freeway and you remember that spot where you were there cutting somebody out of a car, or whatever the case may be. So the trauma is real. And you brought up about veterans and suicides with up to 22 a day for veterans, but in the last 2 years, the statistics for our first responders, for law enforcement and firefighters, has now shown that more law enforcement and firefighters will die by suicide than in the line of duty.
Yep.
And that's changed in the last couple of years. So the need's out there with what's happened out here recently with a young man that took his own life. It's heartbreaking to think about the need that's out there, the amount of need that's out there for our first responders to find support, hope, and healing.
Yeah, and that's why I so appreciate what you're doing with Guardians, because maybe a guy's guy, what everyone else would consider a hero, isn't going to make that call to the shrink. Mm-hmm. But they will hang out with their compatriots, the people who have been there,
absolutely,
seen that, done that.
Yep.
And that's a safe place for them where, maybe there's no way for their wife to understand.
Yeah.
Maybe there's no way for anybody else to really understand except for the people who were there and went through that as well.
Yeah. One of the other things we offer...
People they work with. That's critical.
Yeah,
It really is.
and that's where the magic happens. My story unlocks this guy, and that guy's story unlocks that guy.
Yes.
And the stories make a difference. You were talking about spouses. We also have guardian wives. So we bring the spouses, they have their own small group, so that we can help them to try to understand what can they do different and what can they recognize and see, and help them heal as well, because they go through some of the trauma. They're kind of collateral damage to the trauma we've experienced, in a sense, because of how
That's
we
right.
communicate in our
That's right.
relationships.
Or how you don't communicate.
Exactly. That's
And
a good point.
That's the critical part.
Yes, yes. And so, we're going to have an event coming up that I think is real important for our community to consider being a part of. And on February 10th, Friday, February 10th at 6 p.m., in the auditorium at Higher Vision Church, they've allowed us to use an auditorium. We're going to have an event that is going to show a documentary called PTSD 911. This documentary was created by a Emmy Award-winning director, Conrad Weaver, a nonprofit out here called Exclusively First Responders, run by Laura Linder. She's an awesome lady. Her goal out here with their nonprofit is to create, would be the first out here, a inpatient program for first responders only, and they wanted to be a nonprofit so they could offer their services for free. And so we're partnering with Exclusively First Responders for that event on the 10th to show this documentary, and it's a dinner night as well. And our community and all the first responders in our community can get tickets for that event and come spend the evening with us and learn about ourselves, but also the community can learn about the first responders that sacrifice their lives to help save their lives, and how we can, as a community, can provide support for them and what's available for our first responders. I've seen the trailer for this documentary, and it's going to be a very powerful documentary. And they can get those tickets off of our website at guardiansscv.org. And if you go to our event page, there's a link to purchase the tickets. They can call us at 661-347-6307, and I believe they can also find that on the KHTS website, Hometown Station website. If they put that in the search bar, probably for PTSD 911, they'll probably be able to find the ticket link there as well.
And this is for the general public as well?
As well as any first responders. All of our first responders, and we include veterans in that, veterans, firefighters, law enforcement, it's free to first responders and their spouses. And then the tickets are minimal for people to come. The tickets are going to sell out fast. I think we have close to 150 right now that have already purchased or are getting tickets for our event. So if they're interested, I would encourage them to get online and get those tickets and come out and spend an evening with us, having dinner with first responders and watching this powerful documentary, where the director of this documentary, Conrad Weaver, is actually going to be there with us that night and is going to talk about why he created this documentary, answer questions. It's going to be a powerful evening.
Wow. And where is this located again?
It's located at 28876 The Old Road in Valencia. So it's off the old road just before you get to the 126. Where LA Police Gear and the CHP station is right there. There's a shopping center there, and that's where Higher Vision Church is, and we'll be in their main auditorium. They can come as early as 5 p.m., but we'll start things at 6.
Yeah, that's like a voting center there.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I went there the wrong time. And there used to be one right in my neighborhood, and things changed. So that one wasn't available. They said the closest one was there, and I'm driving for like miles. I'm like, where is this place? And it's like right before you get to the 26 on the old road.
Yeah. Yep. And that church has been really wonderful in our community, offering to host all kinds of things there, which is really neat. It's been helpful. That's where we meet. Guardians actually meets there every Monday night at 7 p.m. in the Forum is the name of the room at Higher Vision Church. And matter of fact, this Monday night is what we call our family food and fellowship night. We do that on the first Monday of every month. Anybody that's a veteran, first responder, law enforcement, and their families can come out this next Monday at 7 p.m. at Higher Vision. We have dinner together. It's free. There's no cost. And we hang out and do life with one another. And it gives us a chance to connect with some of our own and try to bring them into the family of guardians.
That's awesome.
That's wonderful, and you get a chance to talk with each other,
Yes.
Yeah.
communicate.
And they see that we're normal guys and
Right.
gals.
Yeah.
We have women there too, and I was sharing with Barbara last time that I was on that I would say a majority of our guardians, a lot of them are seniors. And some of them have had the opportunity to talk and share things that they have never shared in their life, and have carried things all the way far back as the Korean War, Vietnam, to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Have you had anybody in the Second World War there?
I
I think you said
think there is. I think Fred, if you're out there, I think it was Fred. He's a neat
yeah, because
guy.
I think you mentioned that you did have one or
Yep.
two.
And so everybody's finding a place to get help. And when they see that this is a safe place, they start opening up.
Yeah, and it's a safe place that doesn't require a 2-drink minimum.
Right. Exactly.
That makes a big difference.
Well,
Thank
you know, this is a tough subject to deal with, but
Yes.
as we know, alcohol rarely makes these situations better.
Yeah.
Although that's the way most people self-medicate.
Exactly. And we
That's
see a
very
lot of
true.
that amongst our veterans, law enforcement,
Oh, yes.
firefighters, is the attempt to self-medicate, to numb the emotions and feelings that they're feeling. And that only leads to other issues.
Yes, it really does. It really does. Alcohol is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely is not.
Yep. And everything we do at Guardians is free. We are completely funded by our community and sponsors and people who donate to us. We have no paid staff. All our money goes into our program. We have a retreat coming up in June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, where we're going to all go up for a weekend and get away, and we really have some powerful times up in the mountains up here locally in Fraser Park at a camp called Camp Rev, and it's free to all of our guardians to go up there and have that weekend. So we're seeing some great things happen. We couldn't do it without the support of our community and KHTS giving us opportunities to come on and share what we're passionate about and about making a difference in the community of our first responders and veterans out here in Santa Clarita, which has a high amount of them here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you have an estimated number?
I don't, but I had heard somebody say we are like in one of the top cities as far as the amount of veterans, law enforcement, and firefighters that live in this community. So there is a lot out there. And I know the needs out there because about 6 months after we became a nonprofit, we quadrupled our attendance in 6 months. So right away that told me there's a need out there.
Absolutely.
And as guys and gals hear about us and just want to come and just for the camaraderie, they can come. If they want to come and be there to support others, they can come. If they want to come and they need support and support others and the camaraderie, come out and be a
It's
part.
right there.
You
It's
bet.
right there. Wow. And so your next program is February the 10th at 6 p.m.
Yes.
It's PTSD 911, and it's
Yes.
going to be held at the Higher Vision Church on the Old Road in Valencia.
Yes, and it's open for everybody.
28876.
Yes.
And your contact number?
Is 347-661-347-6307.
Wonderful. Well, it was so good having you here
It was good to
again.
be here with both of you.
Yes.
It's really
Thanks,
been a
Tim.
pleasure again.
We covered a lot of information.
A lot.
And I hope it is beneficial to everyone who's listening,
I do too, and thank you so
especially our
much.
first responders.
You bet. Thank you so much for the
Terrific.
opportunity. Appreciate it.
Yes, and we'll see you again soon.
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And our guest now is the one and only Adam Laraway from Focus Physical Therapy. I
Thank
said
you.
it right,
You
didn't
did,
I?
absolutely. Thanks for having me back, Barbara.
It's good to see you
Good
again.
to see you as well.
So, what's the topic today?
Well, I thought we'd talk about, Focus Physical Therapy has been in Santa Clarita now for about 3.5 years, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the history of why we started it. I've been a physical therapist for 23 years, and I love helping people. And I was part of a really good clinic up in the Antelope Valley for 16 years. I was a partial owner there, and some things changed, and it wasn't about patient care as much anymore, and that was kind of discouraging. And my wife had pushed me to kind of start a clinic. We lived down here. I commuted up there for 13 years, which is, not too
13
bad.
years. I know, but that's quite a trip.
Yeah, I live on the Canyon Country side of town, so I literally had 2 stoplights, get on the freeway, be on the freeway for 30 minutes, and I was going opposite of everybody. I don't know how everybody does coming the opposite way. I was going up to the Antelope Valley when everybody was coming down and vice versa, so I didn't really have much traffic, which was nice, which is I think why I was able to do that. But they just had this calling of we needed more help in our community, and so about 3.5 years ago, we decided to pull the trigger, and so we opened up Focus Physical Therapy. The name Focus is because it's focused on patient care, and that's what I really strive to kind of differentiate ourselves from a lot of the PT clinics in town here, is that we're really focused on patient care. You see the physical therapist every single time. They're doing treatment. We're not utilizing aids hardly at all, other than to basically bring you back and kind of get you on equipment to get warmed up, and then maybe taking you off at the end. But other than that, the entire hour, you're seeing the therapist and you're talking with the therapist, and I think our outcomes have improved because of that. That's kind of what we've strived to do, focus on patient care. So it's really been a lot of fun, and over the last 3.5 years, we've managed to kind of go through COVID, all that stuff. Opening up a clinic about 5-6 months into COVID it was a little bit of an experience.
Challenge.
But we've continued to grow, and I think it's because of the type and quality of care that we're providing. We really listen to patients and try to figure out what it is that they want to get back to. Why are they coming to us? Not just give some exercises to give them some exercises. Get them out, get them in, get them out. Or they can go to the gym if they want to do that. So that's been the most fun, is just really talking to patients, listening to patients, and figuring out exactly what it is that they want to achieve in therapy and get back to, set some goals. And gotten really good patient feedback. Just had a 5-star review from a patient who wanted to get back to bowling, and she was 7 years old, and she gave us a 5-star review, said, "You guys got me back to bowling," and then nothing less. So she was super excited. So that's why we do this. And so we have 3 other professionals, Rachel, Rebecca, Tiana, and they're all fabulous. They all have that same mindset of focus on patient care, and so it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun over there.
Now, do you make home calls at
We
all?
don't do home calls. So usually physical therapy, if you need therapy at home, they do what's called a home health physical therapy, and that's kind of that usually you'll come to us after you've done home health. Home health, you're particularly like somebody, say, maybe had a surgery, was in the hospital, maybe they're not able to drive themselves. Home health will get referred, so they come into the home, do therapy. They get you safe and well enough that once you can once you can drive yourself, or at least get out in the community and have somebody drive you, then you come to a set of Focus. So we're just outpatient physical therapy.
Yeah, because I've had in-home therapy
Yes.
since I've been going through this recovery from the cancer.
Yeah.
And they have been incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some really good ones out there. It's funny, we had a student at my old clinic up in the Antelope Valley, his last rotation through school, and he thought he wanted to do orthopedics, but he did home health when he was going to school, and he stuck with that. So he's actually down here in Santa Clarita. He moved down here from Antelope Valley as well, so I've kind of kept in contact with him, and so we kind of, if I need somebody who needs home therapy that maybe they're not appropriate, I'll give, his name's Brent, I'll give Brent a call and say, hey, I got a patient that I think could use your services until they can get back into the clinic, and vice versa. So then when he's
Well, that's a wonderful connection.
exactly, yeah, it's
have.
nice to have that network, because
It
usually
really
it's
is.
the opposite. Usually, the home health therapists are referring them to us because they're ready to come to therapy. So to have that kind of reverse, I've had a couple patients that have referred back to them, and that's been very helpful.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
Yep.
Because the physical therapy and the occupational therapy that I've been having, which ends in this next week,
Yeah.
It's been wonderful for me. Because I still have to use the walker, unfortunately. I'm sick and tired of it. But I'm beginning to move around without it,
Starting to
as
move
long
better.
as I have something to hold on to.
Yep.
and the kids keep telling me, Mom, don't fall. Don't fall.
You're in a direct order.
Yes.
No fall.
They said that's the worst thing you can do is fall.
Absolutely.
And they're right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right.
Yep. So you got to
But
keep working on
the-
trying to build up your endurance and get your strength back and working on all that
That's
stuff.
what I'm working on.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But as you get older, it gets a little bit harder to do it.
The recovery is definitely slower. That's for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
it is. But at least I'm getting older.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Better than the alternative.
Exactly.
Absolutely better.
So, focus. I love it. The focus being not just pain management. So many times I see it, you see it, I'm sure. Someone gets hurt.
Yep.
And it's purely pain management, purely pain management, whether that be over-the-counter anti-inflammatories or something stronger from the pharmacy. And, hey, you're in pain, you got to do something about it. I understand that. I'm not saying that doesn't have its place. However, they're led to believe that that's going to help them get better.
Right.
And there's a big difference. There's a big difference between pain management and rehabilitation. That's where we both have chosen
Absolutely.
to spend our lives.
Yep. I do a lot of education with patients, when they come in and we do an evaluation, we're looking at their medical history, what medications, that type of stuff they're taking. And, I just really kind of emphasize to them that, when a doctor gives you medication, whether it's over the counter or prescription, its job is to go and block the pain receptor, but it's not fixing the underlying problem that's causing the pain.
Yeah, the injury. It's
Exactly.
not addressing the injury.
Exactly. And the hard part, and as we know now, we're in this opioid epidemic where, everybody is hooked on opioids, and now they're trying to get them off of them. But I've kind of preached that for probably the last 20 years that it's not going to fix the problem, and they're highly addictive. So you do have to be careful, and it's hard on your system. When they come in for an evaluation, one of the things we talk about is the recovery is multi issues. If you're not sleeping right, if you're not eating correctly, if you're not putting the right systems in and getting movement and that type of stuff, all those components are so crucial to the recovery process. And so, sometimes, I think a lot of times, especially with movement, which physical therapy and chiropractors we're movement specialists, they're scared to move because it hurts, and so sometimes just, working with the person to, educate them on what they can and can't do, how to monitor, their symptoms and whether they're doing enough that they're doing good or are they stepping over that line causing more inflammation.
Yep.
And getting that education I think is really, really crucial so that they know, because, we see them for 2-3 hours a week. Those other 165 hours during the week, they got to know what it is they should and shouldn't be doing. And that's crucial to the recovery. But I'm in agreement with you that, unfortunately, the pain medication stuff is not going to fix the problem.
The number one reason for any chronic condition is that the injury wasn't addressed.
Right. Yep.
Here's a handful of pills.
Right.
That doesn't approximate tissues.
Right.
That doesn't restore alignment,
Right.
approximation, alignment, balance, or coordination, or flexibility, or any of it.
Exactly.
And then people are scratching their heads. Well, I did everything my doctor told me to. Why do I have persistent pain syndrome?
Yeah.
Even post-surgical. Post-surgical is one of the biggest things. People are a lot of times in as much, if not more, pain after they get the surgery that was supposed to fix everything for them.
Right.
And everybody's baffled by this. I'm like, well, it's really not that complicated.
Right.
When all you do is treat, go around turning off the body's alarms, like pulling batteries out of a smoke detector while the house is burning down.
Right.
You got a problem.
Yeah.
You got a problem. So from a functional point of view, we're exactly on the same page.
Yeah.
You've got to approximate tissues.
Yeah.
In my line of work, we call that alignment, whether postural or structural alignment. You've got to, whatever your modality is, you've got to address balance and coordination before you get into stretching and strengthening, because all you do is strengthen the imbalance, strengthen the discoordination.
Right.
There are multiple syndromes that are caused by, so many times I hear, well, posture, you just sit up, stand up straight. You've got forward head posture, just pull your head back. And devices that are designed to actually force you to pull your head back. When in reality, there is a structural irritation that is causing you to lean away from the pain. If you don't address that,
Right.
You're like jamming your neck into a nail. Is the way that you're not going to do that.
Right.
Your body won't let you.
Right. Plus, I mean, especially with postural muscles, after a few minutes, the muscles are going to start to fatigue because that's not normal. They're working. They're not designed to be in that.
The interesting thing about postural muscles, instead of like joint movers, the skeletal muscle that work your biceps, postural muscles, when they fatigue, instead of getting weaker, they go into spasm. They freak out.
Right.
When they get tired, they spasm up.
Exactly.
And that creates a whole new set of problems.
Absolutely.
As little as 48 hours, 72 hours, as little as 72 hours, you're creating scar tissue. And in as little as 3 weeks, you're showing measurable destruction of the joint surfaces. And most people aren't even considering any help until they cross those thresholds.
Right.
Like 3 weeks pain management and I'm still in pain. What
Yeah,
the heck?
yeah.
What do I need to do here?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things definitely to address is that, the quicker that you get on something, the quicker you do the recovery. When you let it go for 3 months, 6 months, whatever.
3 years.
3 years, exactly. 30 years. I've had some of those. It gets harder and harder because our brain set up these pathways, and there's a lot of research going on right now under the kind of term called pain science, but they're really starting to discover that, once something becomes chronic, the brain has these pathways, and when your brain perceives a threat, it's going to utilize those pathways because when it hurts, you change your behavior.
Yep.
And so sometimes those pathways really, really get ingrained. And so that's where, in focus, we're able to map your nervous system, figure out where those problems are, and then we take you through those movement patterns to get the brain off that threat, which is really, really cool to see. And that's how sometimes we can literally, in a moment, like change somebody's ability to move their arm or something like that. Well, we didn't make them stronger in, 30 seconds or now, 15 minutes, but we shut out the governor that was protecting, and
Right.
kind of we were saying earlier, that, the body starts to compensate. And I always tell, like, when something's tight, tightness usually in a muscle, so say your hamstrings are tight, that's usually tightening up because something else is weak. Tension is an artificial strength. And so usually, you can stretch your hamstrings, you can stretch